Here's a common problem faced in photography. You set up your camera on the automatic settings, and it takes a pretty good photo, but you can see I'm losing some of the range in my lighter areas, and I'm losing some of the details in my darker areas. If I was to adjust the exposure, let's say making it lighter, I could pull up some of the details in these darker areas. But in doing so, I completely lose out my entire sky. If I was to make it darker, I can bring back the sky, but again, I'm losing the details in the shadows. What I would like to do is to combine all three of these images together and give me a better dynamic range of exposure. Photoshop allows you to do this. Now, first of all, I get all of these images from a great website called EasyHDR.com. Full credit goes to the photographer who took these. Open up Photoshop. We're going to go to File, down to Automate, and choose Merge to HDR Pro. This is kind of a little program inside of the program, and it's going to take all three of the exposures. Remember, I've created an overexposed, regular exposed, and an underexposed photograph and merge them together, giving me what's called a high dynamic range image. So let's click on Browse. These are on my desktop. There's the three. Hit Open. And since they were taken on a tripod, we won't have to worry about automatically aligning them. But in general, I keep that checked off anyway. We'll say OK. And it may take just a second to merge all the images together, but this will give us another dialog box. And you can see now I have a much better range of photograph to work with. Off to the right-hand side, there are some little options I can play around with, including some presets and the amount of details that I'm working with. So if I do see that I can make it a little bit more or less exposed, I can adjust the amount of details that I'm working with. But playing around with these is, again, part of the artwork that you're playing with. I like to change up the presets to give me some predefined areas to work with. HDR photographs can become very, very saturated, almost giving an over-realistic or a surrealistic type experience. If you'll notice, I've chosen photorealistic, and I'm starting to get a little bit of a halo effect around this area. This is a common trait of most HDR photos. In general, you don't want to have that halo effect. So this is where you would want to start changing up your gamma, your exposure, and even the highlights and shadows until it all went away. Once you're done, you can hit OK, and it will merge all of them together into the one photograph that you can then save and edit from here.